upcoming WAFCON, I'm joined by African football journalist, an award-winning journalist, I must say, Ashley Nakazwe. Ashley, thank you so much for waking up bright and early to join us on the AM Report. This script is all too familiar to a lot of football lovers. They've seen this movie before and hopefully doesn't end in tears.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm always happy to be back here. It's not something that is new. And I'm very shocked when the Vice President went on to say it's a minor issue. I don't think it's a minor issue. This is a very serious issue. For Banyana Banyana to boycott, it's because they know what they are asking for and they know what they deserve. And it's, for me, very surprising that they did not have this liaison before the team even left, because they couldn't have boycotted had they had these conversations before the team had even left. Yeah.
They've come back and said this issue has been resolved, but news coming out of the camp, it still sounds like there's a bit of friction. What have you heard?
Well, yesterday, Kaylin Swart, the goalkeeper, did say that there's positivity around in the team now. As much as there is pressure, they're trying to be as positive as can be. And I like to quote her when she says, pressure for them is a privilege. Banyana does perform very well when they're under pressure. So let's see how, if this does shake them in a way, mentally or psychologically. But I'm just hoping that it doesn't affect them in any way. It is very unfortunate that the defending champions, who have so many accolades in terms of football, are being treated in such a way. And I'm not taking very serious in terms of their salaries and monies.
But what is the root cause? I think Banyana Banyana or Bafana Bafana or just South Africa as a whole is not, in isolation when it comes to these kind of administration issues before major tournaments. It also happens with other countries. What is this problem with African football administration and, sorting out matters that need to be sorted out way before a big tournament?
I think it's a governance issue. It's a governance issue. It's an internal issue. And it's unfortunate because, CAF has done so many tremendous work in terms of improving the financial status of so many federations. I mean, just recently, the CAF president had mentioned some of the money that's going to be coming into the women's side as well. It's unfortunate that the federations do not take this seriously. It's an African problem that keeps getting worse and worse and not better, no matter how many, whether the president changes or I don't know. It's just unfortunate how this thing just keeps going on, not just in South Africa, but even in Zambia and elsewhere as well. There's always issues. I mean, in Zambia, we did see the Chipolopolo boys also had written a formal letter to the president citing they don't want to play also because they haven't been paid. It's so unfortunate that there's always money issues when teams are showing up to play for their national teams.
And speaking to some of your sources coming out of Morocco, have you heard anything in terms of, if the players are comfortable to get onto the training pitch and actually, start performing for the country? Are they aware that this issue has been completely solved? Is the money going to vibrate sooner rather than later?
The money coming in sooner than later, I do not want to speak on that one. However, the team is back in training. They did play against Benin on Saturday, actually, and won, which shows that Banyana Banyana will still take away the issues that they have with the federation and still show up for the country, because obviously they know what is at stake for them. They are defending champions and they want to go and do the best that they can and not let issues that are happening at home affect their performance. And
also not the issue of money in isolation. I think there's also a matter of Desiree Ellis also not quite sure whether or not her contract will be renewed. It did elapse just after the Olympics, but nothing's been said.
I think it goes back to governance and who's protecting the people who are representing the country. How is she being protected? Who knows? She can be fired tomorrow. But then that also speaks to her integrity. She's still showing up for her nation regardless of what's happening at home. So I'll keep saying it's a governance issue. Who's protecting the players? Who's protecting the coaches? Who's protecting the technical teams? So it's a governance issue.
Let's leave the boardroom for now, Ashley. The defending champions will be playing against Ghana, Mali, and Tanzania in Group C. Do they look like they have the quality to get them out of that group?
Banyana definitely do. I'm very positive. And I know once they get out of the group stages, they're going to go all the way to the semi-finals and even make it to the finals, maybe. However, this WAFCON is very, very competitive. This one, I think, is going to be one of the best we've seen because there's no underdogs now. You see, Botswana is back, Tanzania is back, Tunisia is back. So many teams that are wanting to do better than they have previously. And even, there's no underdog now. So with Banyana Banyana playing against Ghana, Tanzania, and it's looking really good for them as long as they stick to their game plan. Ghana did play yesterday against Nigeria, which they lost. Good results for Banyana Banyana because they were able to see the mistakes that Ghana made. On Saturday, Morocco played against Tanzania. Tanzania lost 4-0 to Morocco. Another team that is playing against Banyana Banyana. So it's good for them to see how the teams that they're playing against are performing, and also maybe that can be used as an advantage to outperform them when the tournament starts.
Desiree Ellis has also picked a few youngsters in that team. I think succession plans are in place right now. Some of the players that we've come or grown accustomed to knowing are aging a little bit. We know that Jermaine Siopesienwe is also retiring after this tournament from international football, but I'm sure other names will be retiring after this. How important is it for the younger generation to start staking their claim at this AFCON? You know, to have their name known on the continent.
I'm very excited for players like Bonolo and Adriel who've been added into the Banyana squad. Very, very timely for them to be joining the squad now and getting international experience when they're still teenagers, which is very important. They get experience. By the time they're in their 20s, they'll have experienced football at the highest level. I mean, WAFCON is one of the highest levels in Africa to play at, so it's a good thing for them. Jermaine retiring, I was very sad. Personally, I took it very personal. I was very sad because she's only 31. Her retiring so early, you get to wonder, did she retire because it's time for her to retire, or is there other issues that made her retire? Because she's still going to be playing at her team in Mexico. So it's a bit of both. However, it's good to see that the dynamics of them adding younger players and with the senior players, that mixture is really good.
And in some of the other key players who will be vital for South Africa's defense at this WAFCON?
I'm happy to see players like Bambanane in the squad. Obviously, we do know our favorites like Gabriel Salgado, team captain Refilio Jane is back also. Rabalepe's speed will be very vital for Banyana Banyana as well. Linda is there. Hilda is also there. So it's going to be a very nice thing to see Banyana Banyana perform. Yeah.
But we're also looking here at Group A, where the hosts, Morocco, they'll be joined by Zambia, Senegal, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is by far the group of death. Totally
the group of death. And remember, I am Zambian. So for me, having to see my national team play the first game against Morocco, I think Morocco wants to revenge against Zambia because they haven't been very lucky. You know, they lost to Zambia in their last encounter. However, Group A is very, very, very deadly. I'm also, I think DRC will be tournament favorites. That team is one to look out for. Yeah,
Senegal will also probably want to emulate what the men's team has been doing on the African continent.
Exactly. And you know what? Group A is just, if all the teams in Group A make it to the quarterfinals, it'll be something.
And when we look at Group B, we've got Nigeria. And they haven't done anything in about a decade, and they've been drawn against Botswana, a team that you've been speaking highly of, and of course Tunisia and Algeria.
Okay, Nigeria's team looks simple because Nigeria is the most successful team in that group. However, when you're playing against teams that are not very successful, they come to make sure that they make the big team suffer. So Nigeria has to be very, very careful in this encounter. Of course, they won yesterday against Ghana, but are they prepared to play against Tunisia and Algeria? And then when it comes to Botswana, Botswana left in the quarterfinals in the last WAFCON, and they've been quite good. They played against Zambia and South Africa recently when there was a Three Nations Cup. So you can see that Botswana has been preparing quite well. So it'll be good to see how Group B plays out.
And just taking some analysis into what this tournament offers, what do you think the standard of African women's football is on the continent right now? Is it improving? Are you thinking the fact that we've got the CAF Women's Champions League has also made the countries a little bit more stronger, the competition a bit more, stronger, and also, getting those eyeballs? People are starting to be interested in the women's game on the continent.
100%. With so many tournaments that we have now, I think women have so much to play for. You just mentioned now the CAF Champions League. Some of the players that played in the CAF Champions Leagues are coming back now to play in the WAFCON. Like, for example, in Morocco, one of my favorite players, Msoudi, will be back playing for Morocco, and she did very well when it came to the CAF Women's Champions League. And such tournaments are grooming these women to even become better players. And you see, that's also an opportunity for them to get scouted, to go and play elsewhere in other leagues outside Africa. Yeah. So the numerous tournaments are really, really helping women's football grow. And
before we go, Ashley, I just need you to give us your predictions in this Women's Africa Cup of Nations. I know your heart lies with Zambia, but you've spent enough time in South Africa to be South African, aren't you?
It'd be nice to see Zambia versus South Africa in the finals. Wouldn't you want that? Especially how the last WAFCON played out when Zambia couldn't make it to the finals. Yeah. However, this one, I think DRC for me is one of my tournament favorites right now. DRC, obviously DRC and Zambia. Yeah. If they can make out of the groups, that would be nice. And then South Africa, Nigeria, and Morocco, and Botswana. Yeah. These are my favorite teams. If those can make it at least to the semi-finals, I'll be very good.
Well, Ashley Nakazwe, award-winning African football journalist, sitting on the fence, not giving us a straight answer in terms of who she thinks might win this year's WAFCON. That's where we leave things from the sports desk this morning.